Compensation, money. There's various ways that a performer can be remunerated for acting in a picture. The first is fixed compensation. Usually this is a fixed dollar amount. If it's a guild contract, well, that fixed dollar amount has to at least be the prescribed guild minimum. So it's important to look at your rules under SAG-AFTRA, if it's a SAG-AFTRA production, under ACTRA, if it's a Canadian picture, for example. So that's very important. Sometimes you'll see something called deferred compensation. Very often this happens if an actor loves the film, and the film tends to be sort of a lower budget indie film. They're not necessarily just doing this for the money, they're doing it because they love the project and they want to be part of it. So very often they'll say, look, I want X dollars, but from that amount, I'm willing to defer this amount. If I'm willing to work for $100,000, I'll take 50 upfront and you'll pay me 50 at some later point in time. So that's an option. Another thing is called contingent compensation. Very often, you'll hear terms such as points, you'll hear terms such as back end or net profits. In short, contingent compensation, which we could talk about for 3 hours, is a way of paying a performer based on the success of the film. So if the film achieves profits, if they recoup their costs and start generating profits, the idea here is that the performer will get some percentage of those profits. Now, how do you define profits? That is a whole other ballgame for a whole other presentation. But generally, you'll get some sort of fixed comp, but the performer will want contingent comp on top, specifically if they have a prominent role in the picture. What about something like a box office bonus? Very often, this is called BOB, or abbreviated as BOB, B-O-B. The general idea here is that, well, a film can actually not generate net profits, but do well at the box office. Like there's a huge theatrical release, for example. So the general way of structuring this is X dollars to the performer if the picture achieves US domestic box office of Y dollars. So let's say $10,000 if the picture hits 50 million in US DBO or US domestic box office. How do you measure US DBO? Well, you're usually going to use some third-party objective metric like Box Office Mojo or Variety's numbers. So let's say US DBO hits Y dollars. How do we, what happens if it doubles? What happens if it goes from 50 million to 100 million? Well, you'll usually get something called bumps, which is you'll get an additional box office bonus. You'll get $10,000 for the first 50 million and $10,000 for every incremental additional 50 million. What if you hire a performer and they win an award or they're nominated for an award? They might ask for some kind of awards bonus, and there's various ways of constructing that as well.